And we're off. Supposed to like get you ready. Mom sitting in the studio today.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. I've made that pretty clear to everybody.
Want me to interview you?
They're like, who's coming today? I'm like, my mom. Shit.
First of many.
First of many. Yeah, okay, that's a good attitude. I like that already. Normally it takes till the end for people to ask if they can come back. You're like, I'm fucking coming back. This is great. Oh, man. Well, it's great to have you.
Thank you.
I'm glad you guys have been making the trips over. That's fucking cool. You know,
Me
you guys come
too.
hang out,
It's wonderful.
watch football, have barbecue, the whole deal.
Barbecue, yay.
I can't help it. I get bored and I just got to cook something.
I'm
And
glad.
I've got like 3 smokers out there. So,
Good.
well, I'm not even 100% sure where to start here. Normally I have a formula. Maybe we could just use that.
All right.
Like I don't know. I actually don't know enough about you. I really I know you're my mom,
Mm-hmm.
and I know things that kind of pertain to that, but I don't recognize you as a person. So that's kind of cool. That's what we're gonna start with. That I'm gonna say that, and we're gonna bounce off of that.
All right.
So where were you born?
In Los Angeles, East LA, before it was fashionable.
Before it was the big thing.
Before it was a song.
Yeah.
At Hoover Hospital on Hoover Street.
In '56.
I don't know.
You don't know what year were you born?
Oh yeah, 52. I thought you meant
50
I
Dad.
thought you meant 57. I don't know.
She's like, I don't fucking know. Dad is 56.
Yes.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's crazy.
Yeah, it's really old.
Yeah, I had Dustin in last weekend, and we really delve into what it was like growing up the way he did. He saw the 70s, but he was a kid, so he didn't really see them. But growing up in the 80s through where all the shit started evolving, like the shit that we know today. So what from that point, fuck man, you saw a lot. What
Yeah, I did.
At what chapter do you start remembering heavily?
I remember from my crib, and when I used to tell my mom things, and she would say, "How do you know that? How do you know that?" Because my window, in the bedroom, my crib was next to it, and I called my grandpa Popo, and we were upstairs. We lived in a fourplex. My grandma and grandpa and Kay lived on the left. My Aunt Bernie lived on the right with Uncle Jack. We lived upstairs, my mom and I, and she had roommates off and on. And the lady across the way, I don't know. And I would yell out the window and say, "Popo, come get me." Popo, because my mom would leave me in the crib a lot.
Yeah.
Because she was getting ready for work. She worked all the time.
I do remember you saying stuff about that.
Yeah, she always worked. So I remember that. And I remember I used to go down the stairs by myself in a diaper, like babies do. And knock on. It was really a different time of life for a lot of people, not just me. And I wouldn't, my grandma would hear me, and she would let her dog Candy, which was a Cocker Spaniel, black, come out, and Candy would watch me. And one day, there was a supermarket. We lived on a dead end, and there was a supermarket with a big parking lot. I went all the way there with Candy in a diaper, and a woman brought me back, but I wanted candy. I wanted real candy.
Not the dog.
But Candy followed me everywhere.
Will you do me a favor and just pull a little bit closer to your face?
Sure.
Like, the idea is that there's a fist between you and the mic. Perfect. Thank you. You can...
I'm fine.
Okay. So now you can hear yourself a lot better.
Okay.
And what age was that?
That was under a year, and that was in Pico Rivera,
Okay.
and
Under a year.
under a year.
Jesus.
Yeah. I had already. Okay, I had my biological. He left when I was 3 months, and left me a note, which I still have, and I'd already was. By the time I was 3, I was working on my third stepdad, and he was the one that was really bad. And see, I'm the one that stopped all of the things that was happening, because I knew in my 3-year-old brain if I didn't say something, that it was going to keep going on. And
Say something in regards to what?
I was molested.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So say something like audibly announce what was happening
Yes.
to you.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
And there was a whole routine. Like, I couldn't have mini blinds because he would shut the mini blinds before. And I couldn't. You never had mini. We never had mini blinds until I live where I live now. I could never have them. There's certain things you just have to get over.
Right.
And
That's such a crazy association.
yeah,
Fuck.
one day he was doing all the things, and my mom was going to work, and there was a driveway, and the car was there, and not a driveway, a sidewalk, and I came out the screen and I ran towards the car, and she said, "What are you doing? You know, there's cars out here." And she grabbed my hand, started to take me back, and I said, because I had to call all of them Daddy, and I said, "Daddy makes me play house." And see, she had been molested a lot, so she knew what I meant.
Right. She caught
And
him.
I was so scared. I was trembling, and she went in and told him off, and we left. I was so surprised because that was one of the only times, almost in my whole life, that my mom stood up for me.
Mm-hmm.
And we moved in with my grandma. She told me that she told my grandma, but about 2 years before my grandma died, I was talking to her about it, and she had no clue. She goes, "What are you talking about?" So anyway, because by the time I was 17, my life changed a lot. And that's when I began speaking out. And really a lot by the time I was 22.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to tell my mom, that's what keeps me sane. I have to, and I still do. I talk, I'm a talker, but that's what keeps me sane. If you're quiet and you live in your head,
Mm-hmm.
and
That's funny. Without having quite the trauma that you did, I have the same trait, and I kind of discovered it, late in my 20s. Was if I keep bottling shit up, then shit only gets real bad for me.
Oh yes,
It's not comprehensible, the shit that I put myself through. And so, I mean, you could say that this is probably one of the big roots of what we're doing here today, is my want to have a voice and to talk and to hear others.
I agree.
So,
And like I told you, the more you find out about me, the more you'll find out about you.
and that you just made connection number 1 right there. So,
Yeah. So, by the time I was 16, and I was real overweight, and I was 5'2", and I had never went to school more than 3 to 4 months ever. We moved a lot, and now we lived in Pico still, I think. No, we lived in Bellflower, and she took me out to my grandma's in Fontana and said that she was just going to leave me there. And I said, I thought this was a big threat. If you leave me here, I'm quitting school. And she said, okay.
all right.
Okay, well, that's the deal.
I suppose.
So she left me there for almost a year. And I was so depressed. I don't think I've even since then been that depressed. And my grandma knew. And after about 3 or 4 months, maybe 3 months, she said, because my grandma was a cook by trade, and she said, I know you don't like to talk about this, because I got real on the defensive about my weight all the time.
Right.
And she said, but how about if I cook for you and I, the old man is what she always called my grandpa. She never called him by name. And she said, I'll cook the old man stuff, but you and I will eat the same thing for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and just see if it helps. So I started doing it, and after about 2 months, I was in the bathtub, which was right off the kitchen, which is strange. But I was in the bathtub, and I got freaked out, and I called my grandma, And she came in there and she said, "What's the matter?" And I said, "I think I have something wrong." And she said, "What do you mean?" And I was feeling my hip bones.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Look, Grandma, look, it's real hard." And she started laughing and she said, "Those are your hip bones. They're supposed to." I never had felt them,
Right.
never. And I said, "They're supposed to be there?" And she said, "Yes."
Son of a bitch.
I know.
Got
So
a pair of
after
them.
that, I was kind of into this food thing. We never called it a diet. And one day we were watching an exercise program in the front room, and I tried to do a sit-up, and I just rolled like a roly-poly, and I was laughing. And anyway, by the end of the year, I had lost 70 pounds. I grew 4 inches. I went from 5'2" to 5'6.5".
Holy shit.
I know. And my mom married Jim in the interim. I'd never knew him. And he was one of Uncle Jack's friends.
Mhm.
And they were talking one day, and he said, "Do you have any kids?" And she goes, "Yeah, I have a daughter." He goes, "Oh, how old is she?" "She's almost 17. Where's she at?" "Oh, she's almost 16. And no, I was 17. Anyway, she said, "Oh, she's in Fontana. She lives with my mom." And he said, blah, blah, blah. Is there a reason? No. So he said, "Well, let's get her in here with us. Let's move her in."
Right.
That's the only reason I got to go back.
This was at 17?
Uh-huh. And barely 17, like a month before. And he always wanted me to call him Dad. And my mom made me promise, a solemn promise, that I would never tell that I'd had all those stepdads. And so I didn't. I never did. Even when he was dying, I never did. I didn't betray her. I'm not a betrayer. And but I always wished he had known. But he always wanted me to call him Dad, and I wouldn't do it till about the second year. And it was Christmas time. And I said, "You know what I'm getting you for Christmas? Dad." And he said, and he teared up, and he said, "You call me Dad?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm going to from now on." So I loved him. He was the first man that I trusted
Mm-hmm.
and that I knew loved me. He really loved me. And he, I never seen him without a T-shirt his whole life until he got sick. That's how shy he was.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just wonderful. And he wanted me, in fact, after I divorced Stephen, he asked me then if he could adopt me. And I cried, and I said, "You know what, Dad? I'm already your child."
Yeah.
And at that time, it was $250, which was really a lot. And I said,
Yeah, for the 60s and 70s, that's a lot
yeah,
of money.
it was. Well, I divorced Stephen in 83.
Oh, okay.
So he, yeah. And Colleen Kaufman would have sounded all right. But I was already Colleen O'Kelly Pescara by then.
I was actually, right before you said all that, I was thinking to myself, shit, I didn't fucking actually use her real name. I didn't address you correctly for the listeners because,
Oh.
yeah, Mom, yeah, we get that. Mom is Colene Bogardus, same last name as me, but prior was O'Kelly.
That's my maiden name.
Maiden name is O'Kelly. Would have been Kaufman.
Pescara. Yeah, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
Pescara.
Which is, if that sounds familiar at all, it's because that's Dustin's last name, too.
I was a Pescara for many years.
Oh, I was going to say Devlin, too, but it's not.
No, Devlin's my grandson.
No, I know, but his last
Oh.
name.
Yeah.
It was Pescara, and now it's Jessup.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it was.
I didn't address you as an adult, just Mom.
And my middle name is Faye.
Faye.
Do you know that?
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's after my uncle. And everyone says, "You had an Uncle Faye," because Faye means fairy
Oh, yeah.
in Gaelic. But he was a twin, Faye and Jay.
Somebody brought up that I don't remember what paperwork I was doing or something along those lines. They were, your mom and your dad have the same middle initial?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
Isn't that bizarre?
It's fucking weird. And your dad's middle name is Francis? I was like, yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
He doesn't like it?
Mm-mm.
I love it.
I love it. It was after his grandpa.
I think it's cool as shit.
Yeah. He wouldn't even tell me what it was for years.
Why did I don't.
Yeah. And when I found out, because I think he thought it was sissy, And your dad is real manly.
I was like, it's not going to be portrayed that way at all if you see Dad. The only way anybody that knows him knows is that he's a fucking mountain man.
Yeah, that's what he is.
So.
Yeah. I wrote him a really, I'm flying my own flag. I wrote him a really good poem about the second year we were married called Mountain Man. And it was probably one of the best things I ever thought I wrote, and he lost it. I know.
Dick.
And I almost always make a copy when I give someone one.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't that time. So it's gone, and there's a reason. I just don't know what it is.
Do you think he'd come in here and talk to me?
Your dad?
Yeah.
I don't know, but it'd be good for him.
I'd have to get him real drunk.
He won't drink anymore.
I know. I'll try. I'll see if I can get him on.
You don't drink, don't smoke.
Because that would be revolutionary.
Yeah, it would be.
So, anyway, back to your story. I only ever saw pictures of Grandpa Jim.
Mm-hmm.
You guys said that I maybe met him when I was a baby.
Oh, yeah.
But
yeah.
I don't remember. I have a picture in my head of a guy with no shirt on.
Yep.
And curly hair.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if he's holding me or something.
Yeah, he is. He was feeding you.
Yeah.
I did see him without a shirt that time.
Yeah, that one. That's the only picture that I have in my head. And I get to hear stories about how he was he a truck driver?
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
Yep. So I hear
Well, he was in the Navy.
I missed so many chapters.
He was in the, yes, he was in the Navy for 14 years.
Mm-hmm.
He was a CB, and they have big equipment and they make roads for our people. And
What does that mean?
for our he was in the Navy for Navy SEALs and Navy. He was in Vietnam, and so when people are gonna attack or whatever, they need roads.
Oh, well, that's kind of a fucked up job.
Yeah. Well, it's a real. It's not impressive. It's important job. To be a CB is something. And
That's strange. I've never really thought about that.
yeah, and he 14 years, and he a big cat fell on him, a big dirt mover,
Gotcha.
and he landed on it. He broke his back in 3 places. So he was in, I don't even think it was California, but because him and his ex-wife lived in Hawaii. That's where he was stationed at. But I think it might have been Hawaii, but he was on his stomach on one of those beds that rotate for over a year. My mom met him literally like 6 months after he moved, and my Uncle Melvin again knew him. Uncle Faye, Uncle Jack. They were all in the Navy. Uncle Jack was in for 8 years, Uncle Melvin 11 years, and my dad 14. So anyway, Kay lived with my Uncle Jack in Bellflower, and my dad knew Jim, and he introduced him to my mom, and every man that met my mom always really fell in love with her because she was real pretty, and she was tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do remember that about Grandma.
She was tiny. She was 5'2" and tiny. The only time she got heavy is later on in life. But she, he was real. He was not thin. He was real buff. So anyway,
he looked like a big dude.
Yeah, he was. He was as tall as your dad, maybe 1 inch shorter. I'm not sure, but he.
It's like 6'3".
Well, your dad is 6'2" and a pinch, and I think my dad was just like 6'2". They were real close, but he put all his money into. Well, he bought a house for me on Clark in Bellflower, and the reason I know it's for me is because all those years in the Navy, he didn't know how to swim. My mom didn't know how to swim, but he bought a house with a pool, and when I found out. I mean, it was bad enough because they would drink and go in the pool. Mm-hmm. And I always went with my mom. And then one day I said, well, at least Dad, and he goes, oh, I don't know how to swim. You were in the Navy.
He's like, the fuck? I'm not doing
you
nothing.
were in the Navy.
I can't help you.
So I said, why did you buy a house with a pool? And he said, for you. I knew you liked it. And that's the kind of guy he was. And, we had lots of fun in that pool. But anyway... Okay, I don't know where I was going with that.
So I wanted to ask because we kind of
good.
we kind of
Jumped. Yes, we did.
quite a bit. So I was curious about that giant window. You went straight to when you were 7 from being
A kid.
from being 3 or 4 to 17. You know, now if it's like you just went to different schools and it was constantly the same shit, then it's like, yeah, I get it. But there was, I feel like there was some significance there.
Yeah, in Pico Rivera, there's 4 middle schools and 1 high school, and I don't know how many elementaries, because there's North Ranchito, because the high school's called El Rancho, and there's South Ranchito. And I went back and forth to them always, because my mom would move back in with my grandma, and then she'd move out with somebody that wanted to pay the rent, and, well, I shouldn't say it that way, but she'd get married again or something. And she wasn't married to all those people, but I didn't know that until I was 40, because I was naive.
Right.
And when one of the times when I went to South Ranchito, and one of the kids yelled in the back, "What name are you going under this time?" Oh man, I was crushed. I was so quiet. It's hard to believe.
What grade was that?
That was about 4th or 5th grade.
Fuck.
I know. I was devastated.
What do you do with that as a 4th grader?
You don't. You just swallow it. You just swallow it. And when I was in 6th grade and we went back to, because I went to Montebello too, but when I was in 6th grade, I went back to North Ranchito, and I knew a few kids there, and because when I was in the interim of there, my grandma lived in a corner house, and she lived in the neighborhood where you'll hear these names again, but Pam and Sue lived. They were best friends, and they would let me hang with them sometimes, and so I knew them at that school, even though we didn't hang together, but I knew them. And I always signed myself in. Back in those days, you could do that. I always signed my own notes. I mean, when I would miss school, I would write them. My mom would sign them.
Right.
And I missed a lot of school. But she said, "You're spelling your name wrong." I said, "I know." I said, "What?" And she said, "Your birth certificate says Colene, but you're spelling it Coleen. All your records say that." And I said, "Oh, I didn't know." So I was real embarrassed, and I went home, and when my mom got off work, and I said, "Mom, why would you teach me to spell my name wrong? I thought it would be easier for you."
Well, that's fucking embarrassing.
I know, it was so weird. And
Yeah.
I said, "Easier for me?" It was so embarrassing. Why
Yeah.
didn't you ever tell me? And she said, "I don't know." So, I started spelling it ENE then, because I liked it. It was different, And, it set me apart.
Yeah, that's a little strange.
Yeah, I went to Fontana High twice. They had a great drama department. I took drama for 5 years. That's what they called it then. Now they call it theater. But
Yes.
and I took voice and
I don't know why. Like, I'm still in high school. I'm like, yeah. Let me think.
chorus
Yeah.
and choir and
You got a voice on you. I know
and
that.
I used to. I'm practicing all the time, not to sing anymore, but just because I was so numb for so long. It's like my vocal cords,
That's a whole different set of chapters that I think we're gonna save for episode 2.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I feel like you got enough quality material here for one.
Yeah. So.
And that whole section is definitely worthy of its own.
Yeah.
So.
I do want to say, though, that when I was 17, one of my aunt's friends, Vicky, had a boyfriend for quite some time. His brother played in this band, and he was the drummer. And he said, "I'm going to get you to join the band." So he did, and I had to audition. I was so scared. I only got to do 3 things with them, and then they told me, "We decided we don't want a girl." I know. And I was so embarrassed, and I went on the front porch, and I had to call my mom from there, and I went to wait for her to get me, and I just laid on the grass and cried like a fool. Cried.
I would too.
Yeah, because it was like my life. I had lost all that weight, and my girlfriend had given me a bunch of her clothes, and they were suits. So they would dress like normal, but I would wear these awesome suits.
You'd be the front man. Well,
Yeah.
front woman.
Yeah, I had to sing ballad. I didn't have to, but that's what I sang. Backup and ballads. I did all the percussion except for the drums.
Yep.
You know, which I still don't know what it's called. And that was a good part of my life for a very short time.
We talked about it a little bit when you first came in. You were asking me about the instruments that are in here.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't played guitar in a long time. I haven't played keyboard in a long enough time to where I don't remember.
Oh.
But part of something, and I've talked about it a few times on here too.
Will you open this?
Part of, I think it is open.
Oh, okay. I can't tell. And if I'm going to have a drink, I want a drink.
Is it? Oh, there it is. No,
All right, thank you.
and it's facing you.
Okay.
I've kind of always been, like, embedded in music. For one, growing up, I was in band fucking forever.
Yes.
I've been around music, not only because of band, but also because of you. Music is something I vividly remember always being in the house.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always just been like a really big part of me, even still to this day. If I'm here, I typically have music on.
Mm-hmm.
It is something that I want to try like hell to succeed in for at least a little bit, because I love music.
Yeah.
And apparently I'm a bit of a singer myself.
Good.
Yeah. It's
Good. Well, you have the voice for it.
it's come up over the last couple of years, and I've discovered on my own, like, I could do this. Gotta find the balls for it, but I could do it. And nowadays, you know, you don't have to front the money to have a record made. You don't have to.
I know.
You don't have to front a studio time. I could literally, with what I have right now, I could make it work well enough and put music on Spotify all from here.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is it's like, all you have to do these days is just do it. And I find it hard to give myself excuses why I shouldn't.
Yeah.
I'm going to do all the stuff that I want to do.
Good.
That's cool. But anyway, that got a little off track.
No, because when you were in band, you started in 4th grade kind of a little bit, and you never didn't go, but in 6th grade you were heavily into it.
Well, I started with the shit instruments that I didn't want, like 2nd or 3rd. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It was like brass that I did not like. Which is really funny because that's also where I ended.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, because I guess you were in 6th. Were you in 6th grade when we went up to Flag, or no?
I think so. Well, that was the steel drum thing.
Right. I'm trying to think, because I worked at Hacienda by then, and I started working at Hacienda at about, I was 48, I think. 60 or 70.
My timelines are all fucked
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
So,
So it. But
I just know that I was playing.
still in the steel drum work.
I was saxophone, and then my
yeah.
my extracurricular was steel drums.
And that big thing. Bassoon? No. What's that big horn you played at the not a French horn?
I was just playing the baritone, but I hadn't done that for a long time.
Oh, I thought you were playing something else at before the last year.
Of high school?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, in high school I was playing the tuba,
A tube.
which is the over-the-shoulder thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And they needed somebody. They needed.
You played at everything, Sage.
They needed a tuba player because of my size,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, I don't really want to, but if that's what you fucking need, I suck at saxophone, so sure, let's try it. Instruments were never really like, I never really found a strong point, but I did know that music is in me,
Yeah.
and I'm still really good about it.
And you didn't quit.
I know, which is weird. I wish somebody would have told me how bad I sucked.
You didn't suck. It's just that when I thought when you took sax, because Brandon took trumpet,
Mm-hmm.
and he did pretty well,
Mm-hmm.
and then we lost it. We didn't lose it; it got stole. But
Not the point.
the last payment it got stole. But anyway, you played saxophone, and I thought you were going to start playing like, not like Kenny G, but you know,
you wanted jazz, and I plateaued.
not even jazz. I thought you'd play saxophone, and
Yeah.
they just had you playing like the melody and.
Yeah, I felt pretty heavily. Like I plateaued after a while.
You were bored.
I was kind of bored. But
And you played everything. That's why they wanted to keep you in band. I mean, you played all those things.
I played all the percussion instruments aside from drums. I dabbled in bass, obviously, thanks to you guys.
Yeah.
I did all the brass. I could. So when you play brass, once you start one, you can play all of them.
Right.
That's pretty
And you did.
set up that way, except for trumpet because I got these fucking lips.
But you played the xylophone.
Xylophone, I did my freshman year.
I love going to those football games because you were right there, you know?
I still, honestly, think about the marching band days quite a bit just because those were such cool events.
Yes, and we went to almost all of them.
Yeah, the first 3 years of high school, we were the best in state.
Mm-hmm.
It was just such a cool experience, you know. And looking back now, marching band obviously is seen as like fucking losers or whatever the case.
No, not losers. They always just called you geeks.
Oh, band
or
geeks.
nerds. Band geeks,
Band
yes.
geek.
And I think a lot of people, honestly,
It's not my belief.
I think some people are jealous of that because you guys have a bond when you're in band or anything. Music bonded you.
Oh, excuse me, that was right in the mic. Yeah, I don't really want to shift the story too much from yours,
right.
but I will say one thing that I don't know if I've ever shared with you is that even in high school and even in my band explorations, I never really like it may have looked like it, but I never felt really like I fit in anywhere.
I knew that.
You know?
I knew that.
Like even with my sections, with the people, I just didn't have a home anywhere, and it was fucking weird. I was so involved in all of that stuff, and I was there every week, in and out.
Yeah, you were. You didn't miss anything.
But
and
I was still like an odd man out for some reason.
You weren't really into the neighborhood either, which I'm glad for. And Mikey and you ended up really disliking each other. Well, you disliked him early, and I didn't push him on you on purpose, but I felt bad for him.
It's so crazy.
there.
It's so crazy. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
It's all right.
interrupt. Coming back in contact over the years with people from the neighborhood and just realizing where everything took a turn.
Yeah.
That neighborhood was, I thought it was like a good neighborhood.
Oh, I thought it was too.
You know, it like on the outside, it looked like a wholesome neighborhood. Not a whole lot of. There's people that are, there's drug addicts that came out of that neighborhood. People that died on that street. People that I went to school with.
You said Ben died too, right?
Ben ended up on the streets, and I used to run into him at Circle K.
He was bad,
and he was tweaked out all the time.
Yeah.
People died in houses down the street from him that I used to know. There was other people from the other sections of the neighborhood. And I just look back and I'm like, fuck. Like, what? How? It's either naive. I mean, if you didn't see it, then how the hell am I supposed to see it?
I didn't see it because it's not that I was blinded to it. I knew most of the neighbors.
Well, if you as an adult didn't recognize it, and that's not your fault.
No, because remember when Ben came to the house, because I guess it was Mikey said you took batteries?
Vaguely.
And he came to the house with like 3 people, like I'm gonna surrender you. Oh yeah, he's right there in the bedroom. Go ahead and get him.
Right.
And when he came to the door, and I walked out of the door, and he hit one of my. I only get angry like that probably 6 times in my life, and I just we slammed that door open and went out there, and he was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
And I said, "You are not going to, do what you think you're going to do."
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah. And I thought, you and I talked because I said, "I'm so sorry if I embarrassed you." And you said, "No, you didn't." And I said, "I just won't have it. I won't have it. We moved here from there. I won't have it."
It's just looking back, like it's so much not understanding about what happened to that fucking street. And I remember so many negative details about it now looking back. I don't want to throw too many fucking names around.
Yeah, that's true. But it's the last time we seen Brian, it was so strange because we took him beer and he said, "Oh, I stopped drinking."
Yep.
And all I could think of was and I'm sorry, Brian, is that because I loved Brian. I don't think he realized because he was buzzed all the time what a communication him and I really had.
Right.
But he,
I always thought he was close to us too.
I thought so too. I mean, they ate at our house all the time,
Right.
and he was always invited.
Yeah.
But he should have stopped so long before. Mikey really had a rough way to go. He really did. His mom was a drug addict.
Yeah, I don't remember much about.
His grandparents loved him, though. They had the old car. Remember that?
Oh yeah, Dutch and
Yes.
they lived across the street from him. Right?
No, those were fake grandparents.
Oh, okay.
They lived not too far from us, but they had like a.
I do remember the Model T.
Yeah, that's what it
Yeah,
was. Yeah.
But
Yeah, that was. Yeah, we lived there a long time. We lived there your life,
it's crazy because
and you didn't.
part of me, and hopefully this resonates with other people who have grown up and kind of got to see what their upbringing could have been like, but like on the surface it looks like I should celebrate making it out,
Yeah.
so to speak, but then I feel like arrogant saying that.
Oh no, that's not at all.
No, I do
arrogant.
because there was nothing ever presented. There was no real presentation of an opportunity to be a huge fuck up on that street. But somehow, everybody that we were raised around was a huge fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, like I've told you in the past, I just don't fucking understand what happened.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's not one.
Because some of them had families.
There is probably 3 people out of that whole neighborhood and everybody I went to school with that I can recall that I would call successful at this point.
Well, success is in your own.
Okay, that didn't end up being really hugely struggling drug addicts
Or dead.
or dead to that degree. And I feel I don't like saying that because I didn't understand, but again, there was a cloud over that place and I just never saw it. Luckily.
Yeah. And
drugs were never my thing though.
And Jesse, I would love to be able to find him.
I've tried to find it.
I loved him so much. He was such a good human.
It really wouldn't surprise me if not by no fault of his own. He's probably dead now.
It wouldn't surprise me either. His parents were so jacked. They were so jacked.
Not necessarily us, although we were dabbling, but that area was really fucking trashy, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Looking back on it now, I'm like,
Yeah.
it's a fucking trashy. Just the population there was just.
Yeah. Strange, isn't it?
It's super weird. But
Yeah. So.
it was cool to watch everything develop around us, as much as I hate it now.
Yeah.
But it was super cool that we moved out there so early in Arizona's age. Wow.
Oh, I loved it.
When we got out there, the 101 wasn't there. Bell Road was still
It was dirt when we first moved there.
kind of fucking desolate, and that was...
Oh, I thought we were moving out in the country when we moved there.
You know what?
Because when I found that house in the newspaper when we lived with Vicky and Randy.
Yeah.
And I found that house. I found did it every day, but it was real easy to get into. I thought the people that owned it was very nice. They ended up being just shitty.
Pieces of shit.
But he died. That's why. He was nice to me. He was good to me. And he never treated me badly. Because when we bought the house and we went to sign the final papers, when I walked away, I started sobbing. And your dad and I was walking, and he came up behind me, him and his wife, and he said, "Excuse me, are you crying?" And I said, and I just turned around, I was sobbing. And he said,
I'm so happy now.
I know. And he said, "I'm so glad that this all worked out for you, And,
Yeah.
But that was we bought it for $66,000.
Yeah.
And when we moved 11 years later or whatever it was, we sold $77,000. And I know I don't understand all of that crap.
Right.
But that's what I was telling the son. How could I owe you more?
How the fuck does this
How
work?
did that happen?
Help me understand.
Yeah.
I feel so bad. The listeners are going to be all over the place. Hopefully, you guys are hooked
Oh,
because
I'm
this
sorry.
is a goddamn good story.
I'm so sorry.
No, I'm doing it too. I'm definitely fucking doing it. Have you been in touch with 2 steps back? She mentioned Vicky and Randy.
No, and I'd love to go see him.
I'm in touch with Randy,
Oh, you are?
but
Oh.
hold on a second.
Okay.
Just so you have some kind of a background as to how that was their porch, right? That we lived on. Okay, so
What was it back?
they took us
It was
in
a
and
patio.
let us live in almost like a studio situation that they had on the back of their house.
No. No, it was a patio.
Oh, so
and
it
they
was
had a,
like a sunroom
yeah. And
or a mudroom, depending on
what
where
do you
you're
call
listening.
it? Our Arizona room.
Arizona room.
But your dad built that patio. I mean, built the stuff around it and he built that door by hand.
So if you guys don't know what an Arizona room is, because you probably fucking don't, it's like a mudroom in the Midwest. Screened off kind of patio enclosure, things like that. Not air conditioned
No.
and
Well, we did
not
have,
insulated.
No, but we had one room.
Yeah.
And
I remember like a window AC that we were fighting
yes,
with.
your dad and I slept right here, and then 4 steps away, you slept right there. But I slept with you a lot.
How? So you're not in touch with?
No, tell me what's going on.
Well, Vicky passed away.
Oh, she did.
Yeah, and we're talking about Randy
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Gallegos?
says Gallegos, but it's really Gallegos. But
Um,
him and I went round and round about that.
I think he lives in Prescott Valley,
Oh wow.
and Vicky passed away years and years ago. But he's on my Facebook, so I'll get you in touch if
Oh,
you
good.
want.
I would love to.
The name came up, and honestly, like it took me a minute because I saw his picture. He still got the mustache thing going on, you know. And I saw the picture, I saw the name, and I was like, I fucking,
You
feel
know
like
him.
I know that son of a bitch. So
They were good to us.
I added him. Yeah, I remember. You can't. I remember Vicky. Hippie, glasses,
Yes.
long hair.
Yeah.
Good, such a good lady.
Yeah.
But anyway,
She was. But see, that's what when we moved in there, she said, you know, it was for 6 months because I'm going to go back. I'm backing up, people, but
beep.
you'll get the other part of the story another day. But we lived in an apartment complex and we lived upstairs. And when you walk downstairs, they lived in the apartment adjacent. And we got to be real good friends with them. And she was much older than he was, and it was Vicky and Randy. And when I had some problems, and the gang members there were threatening us real bad, and I was standing up to them.
This in Cali?
No, this is here.
Well, we had this shit here too.
Yeah, we did then. And Vicky and Randy knew what was going on too, and they said they bought a house. They had been saving, and they bought a house, and they said, "Would you like to come stay with us for 6 months?" And I said, "Yes. By 6 months, we should have our shit together."
Mm-hmm.
And so it was 6 months, and she said, "You know what? 6 months, and you're not moving." And I was waiting for a settlement when we got hit by the mail truck. Do you remember that? Okay.
Vaguely in the.
I was waiting for that,
in the van.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the orange van, and actually, it came in right about then too, and it was like this much compared to what we thought we were gonna get, and I was looking for a house every day, and so when we lived there for 6 months, and I was trying to, because she was real polite about it, but it was like, okay, it's time. And Brandon kind of hung his hat there too, but he doesn't remember any of it because he was, out of it at that time. Do you remember Randy's brother that lived there too sometimes?
No.
He used to play video games with you.
No. I don't remember. I don't remember much.
Okay. Well, you were 5 and 6, so that's pretty young.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, yeah, Vicky was an old soul. Old soul.
Sure felt that way.
Yeah, she was. And it was so, all our stuff was in storage. It was so wonderful of her. It was so hot. Your dad can always take the heat. But I would, in the middle of the night, go stay in the garage next to the boat because there was air conditioned in the garage, which was crazy. So anyway, yeah, we'll talk about all that apartment stuff another day.
Oh, there's so much.
Unless, I mean, it's up to you. You want to know my stepdad's names? No, it's all right.
Are they relevant?
No. I just thought I still remember them. That's what's crazy.
We've bounced around quite a bit. Nothing bad. We just have. It's getting down there.
Okay.
So I'm trying to
ask questions.
Well, I mean, there's not really there's gonna be a lot, but I'm trying to avoid the next big chapter.
Okay.
Because that's gonna be the more current story.
Well, there's a lot of middle story before current.
Well,
there really is.
We can, if you plan on coming back, we can talk about it all.
Yeah. I plan on coming back.
I'm really, and this is the first time.
You're my baby.
Yes, it's getting me in trouble. Stop it. I'm really looking forward to, and not to say that your story is unimportant, but I'm really looking forward to what I do with guests when they come on, and they tell their story. Typically, like 9 times out of 10, they'll say, "Can I come back?" Absolutely. Once the story's been told, and now we have an idea of who Colene is, then what we do is I have a list of different subjects or circumstances, or we talk about something that might be in the front of your mind, something that happened in your life recently. That's and we're gonna find out how we're gonna figure out your perspective on how things happen in life, and that's the part that I'm really excited for.
Okay.
But we got a few episodes before we get there.
Yeah, I do want to say that for most of my life, I really am a glass half full kind of person.
Yeah.
And I treasure that, and I think that's what your dad and I bounce off of, because as I keep saying, we fit like this, like
yeah,
we're so opposite, and the more since I've become clear and stuff, it's crazy the stuff that we have nothing in common. Except for this deep love, which is more than enough.
I'm kind of glad that you mentioned it. I'm just not it's not negative. I'm just super.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just super observant, and you guys have two very, very polarized views of everything.
Yes.
And it's mind blowing to me, because I'm like, half the time I just have more questions than I do responses. And you guys are a true love story.
We are. And your dad will...
I brag about it a lot.
Your dad will talk if you ask him questions. He's just a simple man. That's the best way I can explain it. I think it's... Who sings that song? Simple Man. He's a simple man. And that's not I'm not saying a simpleton. That's a different thing.
No, that's not what we're saying. One strong feeling that I get about Dad is not that necessarily he is simple. I can feel that because I'm the same way. But
No, you're complicated.
Very complicated.
Yeah,
but I'm talking about like worldly shit.
Oh,
we're on the surface, on the worldly surface. I'm relatively simple. I don't care what I eat.
That's easy. You're easy.
I take care of. Well,
your dad's easy.
Yeah,
very easy.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm
but
complicated.
I feel I'm fucked up. No, I feel very strongly like it's like when you get into the habit of doing something for so long, it becomes your second nature. And I feel pretty strongly like that is his. That's why he's silent most of the time, because he's been that way for so, and also coming from a different time, where men were treated or regarded completely different than they are now.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's just a part of who he is now.
Yeah, it's not like that I try to figure everyone out, but he's easy. He's easy, and I mean, there's so many things about him that I know it's not going to be till chapter 3, but he, I mean, like my girlfriend Pat, he took me on with 3 kids.
Yep.
And didn't think about it. He has never brought it up in an argument. He's never treated the kids accordingly to what they've treated him. But, yeah, and he's got issues. He's got issues, but he just loves me so much. I've never been loved like that.
Yeah.
I never have.
It's been a tale that I've told as long as I can remember, as long as I've been telling stories. It's really, I mean, truly the best word I can describe it with is it's a pain in the ass.
Why?
Because he won't fucking leave you.
Oh, you want him to leave me?
Not forever.
You do?
No, but like in general, he won't leave your side.
Oh, that's because he was put in this position.
I'm like, you son of a bitch. She's fine for a minute.
Yeah,
No,
I am.
I'm just kidding.
I am. I'm better now.
It's funny. It's a very joking manner, you know. But he's got a level of dedication, and love that.
But now, and it's habit now. That's why. It's habit now because, as I was telling your Aunt Terry today, until 2020, he dressed me.
Yeah.
I mean, he's devoted, and he
so devoted.
Yes, and he like I asked him about 6 months ago or 5 months ago. I said, "Why don't you ever ask the doctors?" Because I'm seeing so many. I said, "Why didn't you ask the doctors any question?" He goes, and this is, well, because you take care of it.
You do it.
That's true.
You fucking do it.
That's true. So.
All right.
All right.
Well, sorry for bouncing you around quite a bit.
No, I did it.
We got a lot more to talk about, and I'm excited to have you back on again.
Do people text you while you're doing this, or no?
I'll tell you what's going on after.
All right.
Ooh.
Dun 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 dun.
Off the air. No, it's super unimportant.
Okay.
I had just multitask a lot while I'm doing this.
Get that from me.
It's annoying. But
no, it's great.
But it's priority. So.
Well, it's nice meeting all of you.
You enjoyed coming on?
I did.
You like this experience?
I do.
Okay. Well, the me versus me experience.
Told you 5 years of drama. Hello.
All right.
Oh God.
Do you have anything that you'd like to? Anything you'd like? Well, the way they say it now is you have anything you want to plug?
Yeah, not a thing.
You got any sponsors you want to throw out there? Okay.
No.
Well, as I say, every
if you need a good doctor, I could lead you in the right way.
I can get you there.
I think I drank almost all of it.
Good. At the end of every episode, I tell everybody where they can listen.
All right.
So we're gonna go through, like, follow, subscribe. Make sure you check us out on Spotify. Is the biggest platform where you can now watch us in video. Check out Apple Podcast. We're on Google Chrome and all over the world. 8 nations. 8 countries. And do your part, and please just give me a follow. Oh, YouTube now. YouTube.
Wow, really?
Yep. I got the channel back up and running, so that way we can make sure everybody has an opportunity to watch or listen the way they prefer. Facebook, and if you want to get in contact with us, you can do so on the Spotify page or on the YouTube comments. And don't be afraid to leave your questions, comments, concerns. We love them all, and we love you. So have a good night.